you everyone for joining me. So we're going to talk about the different types, talk about why it's so important to get it right. So I've got some beautiful photos of students doing lovely things. So this is a ball that students have at one of our accommodation providers. It's really important to get your accommodation right. People say to me all the time, but it's just somewhere to live. But it can either help or hinder your ability to succeed at university. The first thing that students always say to me is Melbourne is so expensive. I understand that, and we'll talk a little bit about scholarships or abilities to get jobs at the end, things like that as well. But remember, you're paying a lot of money to study in Australia. It's not just about your academic success. There's a lot of opportunities that will help you succeed in life, not just the academic. You don't choose to study in Australia just to get your degree. So there's many other things that you have to think about. So I talk mainly about some of the issues that international students face when they do study overseas. Now, you're all brilliant academically. I know that. If you're looking at the University of Melbourne or studying in Australia, you're going to be academically brilliant. And you've spoke English your entire life. It's really, you're an expert. The dialect in Australia is unusual. We use acronyms. A lot of people speak very fast in Australia. We have accents that you may not understand. When you're sitting in that classroom, you think to yourself, who am I going to ask? I don't understand that man. I don't understand that lady. We might have phrases that you never understand. There might be subjects that you've never understood. So even if you speak English, you might have difficulty understanding people in Australia. The second one is academic issues. As I said, you are brilliant. You are so smart if you're thinking about studying in Australia. But sometimes that assignment, you've never done it before. You've never done physics. You've never done accounting 1A. Who do you ask to get that extra information? You want to do better than your classmates. You know, you want to do academically, you want really high marks. Have you ever done research papers? Do you know the structure that the university wants? All of these things you're going to have to learn. In Australia as well, we want students to have opinions, but you have to back up those opinions with evidence. So it's not just about writing your assignments, it's also writing your assignment on why. How do we choose your electives? You know, you think to yourself, well, if you're going to do a Bachelor of Science, there's 40 different electives for you to choose from at the University of Melbourne. So which ones do you want to go to? A lot of our students, let's be honest, will get homesick at some point in time. Moving away is huge. It's a huge big deal. You know, there's different cultures. You're used to the heat in Thailand. You know, Melbourne can be quite cold in winter. You know, even Australia at the moment, it's 30 degrees. You might find that lovely. You may not. There's all this new food. How do I make friends? You know, all of these are quite difficult things that choosing your right accommodation will help you support this. So some of the other problems that some of our students face is loneliness. Sometimes they get overwhelmed. How do they deal with finances? Roughly, it's going to cost you about $30,000 to live in Melbourne per year. If you get sick, how do you see a doctor? All of these things are just minor problems, but they can add up. So this is why I talk about accommodation and the styles of accommodation, and selecting that right accommodation will help with these issues. So at the University of Melbourne or in Melbourne, or even most places, there will be sort of a different style of accommodation. So in University of Melbourne, we have 10 residential colleges. We have private providers, student apartments, share housing and homestay. So I'll just generally explain what these ones are, and then you'll sort of know the difference. So a residential college is a very supportive type of accommodation. Normally you get an individual room. You might have to share bathrooms and the facilities, and some of them will provide a majority of the meals depending on what you want to in your selection. Residential colleges also have music programs, sports, arts, all of the other activities that you're going to do. They'll also have the biggest thing that they have is tutorial assistance. So they have someone there at the college that runs extra classes on helps you write essays, someone to ask questions. I don't understand this formula. I've never done this subject before. They can read your essays before you hand them in. So a residential college is the most supportive, has the most facilities and the most pastoral or welfare support that we'll do. Private providers are, now the University of Melbourne has two types of private providers. One that's under the Melbourne Accommodation Guarantee, and I'll talk about those ones, but they also have what's known as student apartments. These have some facilities, as in they'll have a gym, they'll have RAs or people that will be there in case you're sick, some sort of support level, but it's very independent learning. So you'll actually have your own apartment in an apartment complex. You have your own bathroom, your own kitchen or kitchenette, but there might be access to a large kitchen. In these ones, they're very nice. They're brand new, a lot of them, but you have to be proactive to make friends. You have to go outside your door and actually say, hello, how are you? I am. In a residential college, they have lots of activities to deliberately make everyone become friends in orientation week. They have designed activities that will help you make friends, whereas private providers don't have those same facilities. They're very good if you want to live alone, you want your own bathroom and you want your own to be able to cook for yourself. But particularly in first year, these ones, you have to be more proactive. It's harder to make friends in these ones as well. So student apartments is owned by a private company, something like Student Living, Scape has these. And once again, you're renting an apartment in an apartment complex. These apartment complexes are all rented out to individual students. You can have individual one-person apartments. You can have 2 people, 4 people, or 6 people. In those type of apartments as well, you normally share the facilities with the people that you live in your individual apartment. If you don't have any friends or know of anyone, the companies normally allocate you a flatmate in those ones as well. They're all safe and secure. They have independent keys, but you'll be allocated a person to live with depending on the style that you are selecting. The last one is homestay. So homestay is when you stay in someone's house. I normally don't recommend that for over 18 people because you want your independence, you want to make friends, you want to make friends to be able to do the assignments and group activities and all those wonderful things together. The University of Melbourne will give you a Melbourne accommodation guarantee. That just means that you will apply through their facilities and you'll get given an offer depending on what style of accommodation that you pick. But you have to know what sort of accommodation. So even though it's a guarantee, you need to do your homework on what style suits you. Towards the end, if we've got any questions, we can talk about a little bit more. And I can also show you some photos of things as well. But remember, you'll have to do your homework no matter which type of accommodation you want. There is plenty of accommodation in Melbourne. You do not need to worry about missing out, but the ones that are very good that everyone wants to live at can fill quicker. I'll give an example. Say, for example, there's a brand new building called Little Hall that's going to open in 2021 that has 600 rooms. Of course, you're not going to miss out on that. But if you say want to live to the residential college called Medley that only has 65 rooms, it's good to apply early to those sort of things. It's the same as Monash. It's the same as University of New South Wales. The ones that everyone wants to live in accommodation-wise do fill up a little bit quicker. So some of those I normally recommend apply earlier, and we can talk about the end on what's happening COVID-related, but some of them do fill up quicker than others. So how do you choose the one that's right for you? So I talk about support facilities, okay? So what sort of person are you and what facilities do you need? Are you happy to have your own room, share a bathroom? Are you peanut allergy and you have to cook for yourself and don't want anyone around you? These are the sort of things you need to look at. But residential colleges I normally promote first because it makes your life easier. After first year, go live with your friends, live wherever you want. But particularly first year, you make friends easier. Someone looks after you. We make sure you're all right. You've got all these facilities to make your life easy. I normally recommend, some of them have leadership opportunities. Many of our students say to me that, oh, I'm doing my bachelor's degree and I need work experience. I need, internships. I need leadership opportunities. In a residential college, they have what's known as student club. Say, for example, our student club was elected in October. That person who is the treasurer, for example, can put on their CV that they had a budget of $50,000, they had to work a committee, they've had negotiation skills, they get references from the staff at International House. So it's also, these skills are what you're going to need to stand out when you're looking for jobs. We had this lovely student from Thailand who lived at International House, and she was one of the committee. But she talked about presentations and confidence in herself and that ability to be able to put yourself out there, stand out from other people. So you get this practical work experience to put on your CV. Many other students that live in just apartments don't get that same leadership or work experience as part of it as well. Some of them do have scholarship opportunities. So if you're in financial need, look around, and you can always email me. I'll put my email at the last slide. You can always email me. Scholarship opportunities normally go to those in need. Yes, the university would have scholarship opportunities for those with great marks, but to us, everyone is brilliant that gets into the University of Melbourne. So we want something different. So if you are in need, you've got circumstances, either speak to Cameron or you can email me directly. Think about your food. Do you want to come home from a class at 6 o'clock and cook your dinner? Now, Uber Eats is available everywhere, but it gets very, very expensive, okay? Think about, do you want to make your own meals? Do you want them just made for you? Those facilities are excellent when it comes to catering and things like that. We do have halal, vegan, vegetarian, celiac, all those sort of things, particularly for first year. Once again, it makes your life a lot easier. We can always do late dinners, you can get takeaway lunches, all those things as well. Friends, we have 42 different nationalities living at International House. So yes, we have some Thais, we do have some locals, we have Myanmars, we have Pakistan, absolutely everyone. These will become your friends. We say quite often that you'll never need Airbnb ever again because you'll have friends from around the world. These friends that you'll make at universities quite often become your lifelong friends. So when I traveled last time in Thailand, I had dinner with alumni who'd been friends for 40 years, since they shared the floor. They were vice chancellors, architects, federal ministers. Living in a residential college will give you access to alumni. Now, so if you don't know who Kun Chai is, he owns Your Cabbages and Condom restaurants. He's a very big influencer. James Riardi as well. If you Google his name, you'll know. These two men have had relationships, but also lived at International House when they were quite young. So these are the sort of people you can get access to. We have sessions of PricewaterhouseCoopers comes, Bain professionals come in now and say, how do you stand out? How do you apply for graduate positions? So all these extra things, apart from university, this is why you live in choosing the right accommodation. It's very safe and secure. We have a security guard there every night. So It's not just your room, the door's all locked, you have your individual key, but we also have a security guard every night. I'm going to keep going back to this point that you're investing your time and money in your degree, okay? Increase your chance of success by living somewhere that has academic facilities. We have free printing, we have free paper, we have study spaces open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have, as I said, seminars on how to, we had a professional talk about where the future of finance is going. All those sort of things make a difference to your academic experience. Not just comprehensive academic, but we also have stress management. We also have things like how to sleep. We also have professionalism, how to stand out, CVs. We do mock interviews with our students as well. These are the things you're choosing by choosing the right accommodation. Statistically, students that do live in a residential college academically do better, okay? That is an actual statistic. Lifelong friends, it's not just about your degree. You think about the skills that you're learning, like intercultural communication, how to negotiate, confidence in yourselves. You volunteer for committees. You're part of a community that looks after you as well.